2 years ago, Dateline helped focus attention on what is now one of the hottest topics in education, unconscious gender bias in the classroom that was cheating girls. It's not a coincidence that enrollment at women's colleges is at a 14-year high, up 14% in the last 2 years. And more high schools are experimenting with single-sex classes, especially in science and math. Why do girls seem to learn better in that kind of setting? We went to find out. Liz Pines came to Harvard last fall with some formidable credentials. The most prestigious science prize an American high school student can win. First place in the Westinghouse competition. But in her high school physics class, she felt intimidated.
I was very nervous about being in the class. It felt like a Shark Tank. It was, don't raise your hand, don't let anybody know that you don't know the answer.
That's how a lot of girls feel in math and science classes, and one reason why so few of them are in class at all. 2 years ago, Dateline first examined something called gender bias with the help of doctors Myra and David Satker and teacher Lori Lowe. Would we find bias in her classroom?
What else do you know about Africa? Emily?
There are many languages in Africa, including English.
Okay, good. All right, John?
There are many deserts.
Many? Desert. Good. Is the whole thing desert, John?
No.
Okay. Jeff, last person.
Some of more students spots in Africa.
Okay. Did Dr. Battle mention that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's how the Satkers saw it.
In this case, the teacher asked a probing question, asked each boy to defend his position, and the girl just made a statement, one shot, and then the teacher moved on.
And Lori probably doesn't have a clue that happened.
We saw a good teacher unintentionally but consistently giving more and better attention to the boys.
If we were taking this out of context, and this was one case, it would be very unfair. But remember, we're looking at years of research, hours of observation in Lori's class, and this is typical.
We were convinced, and so was Miss Lowe. Is there any doubt in your mind that there is bias in the classroom?
No. There's no doubt, and I think people accept it as the way the world is, and so therefore it's not a problem. But is there bias in the classroom? Yes.
Now the Satkers have written a new book titled Failing at Fairness, How America's Schools Cheat Girls, which not only examines how girls get less attention in the classroom, but also how boys and girls may learn differently, and why girls seem to do better in single-sex classes, especially in math and science.
In those schools, no one has really ever taken an in-depth look to figure out what are the patterns, what's the interaction, how do girls behave differently when they're by themselves.
At the Illinois Math and Science Academy, IMSA, they're trying to find out. Even here, where everyone is gifted, the ratio of boys to girls in certain advanced science courses is 4 or 5 to 1. They already knew there was a problem, so when Liz Pines, their 1993 Westinghouse winner, called her calculus-based physics class here a Shark Tank, people listened. Dr. David Workman teaches that class.
Shark Tank, what do you think that meant?
When I first heard it, it meant this is a dangerous place to be. It was very startling to me at first, because I had never thought that a student would have thought of the place as being dangerous.
So last fall, IMSA began an experiment. Dr. Workman's class was offered in 2 sections, one co-ed, which meant mostly guys, the other, for 1 semester only, all girls.
People tell you shouldn't be doing this experiment at all. What do they say?
They say that it's not fair to the female students to single them out and give them special treatment because they won't then be prepared for the real world. They say that if you single out students with special needs, you make them feel inferior. They say that if you do it, you will lose all of your federal money. They say that equality is what it's all about.
And what do you say?
I see equity is what it's all about. I say equal doesn't mean what it seems to mean. And if you treat everyone the same when people are different, you can't be equitable. So you shouldn't try to. You should try to offer people what they need to succeed.
But the most vocal critics at first were girls like Danette Bates.
I was very angry at first. I was mad. We stormed over to the physics office and wanted to know what was going on because my initial reaction was they think girls aren't cut to take the same class as the guys are.
Then you opted for the segregated class.
Yes, I did.
Why?
The more I learned about the experiment, the more I really did become interested in it. Why have I been discouraged in science classes? Because I have been.
After the experiment was announced, female enrollment in the course doubled. The girls studied the same material and took the same tests. But as we discovered with the Statker's expert help, the two classes were very different.
Why don't you take and see if you can apply?
Look at Dr. Workman's co-ed class. Note the 5-to-1 boy-girl ratio, the straight line rows of desks, and the pressure to get it right and get it fast.
Try it. When you get an answer, wave at me. Right.
That's what made Liz Pines feel like she was in a Shark Tank, where you took a risk every time you raised your hand.
Right. Try harder. Move the eye. Right. Right.
A board covered with math examples, a teacher who asks a difficult problem, students who are working alone. It's the classroom we all knew, and some of us loved, and some of us didn't.